Hi, I'm Maria Scrivan, and I'm here to talk to you about my middle grade graphic novel, Nat Enough, and the sequel, Forget Me Nat, that comes out in fall 2020. One of the first questions people often ask cartoonists is, when did you know you wanted to be a cartoonist? My answer to that is always. Here I am at 4 or 5, crafting my entire family out of snow. I've always loved to write, draw, and tell stories. My work has been published in Mad Magazine. Here we have reality show mashups for when they finally run out of ideas. Parade, Magazine, Wired, and many other publications. And I've designed hundreds of greeting cards. And for the last 7 years, I've had a daily syndicated comic called Half Full that is in newspapers nationwide and on Go Comics. I love to draw animals with human traits. Don't use our human name, it's too obvious. Plays on words, like plank with pirate yoga. Plays on mythology and fairy tales. And I especially love comics with no words at all. Maybe just a few words. Another question people often ask cartoonists is, where do you get your ideas? Nat Enough is based on true events and true feelings from my childhood, embellished with humor. I find that there's a lot of humor at the intersection of fact and fiction. Natalie loves to write and draw, but she has one big problem, and it's not that this frog has more of a social life than she does. Natalie doesn't think she's enough. She doesn't think she's athletic enough or talented enough. And as it turns out, she's not even cool enough for her best friend who dumps her on the first day of school to hang out with someone more popular. This really was one of the worst things. Worse than worm sandwiches, chicken pox, or quicksand. Just like Natalie, I was dumped by my best friend and bullied by her and the kid who used to bark at me every day while I waited for my mom to pick me up. But Natalie and I had an even worse bully than that. Ourselves. One of my biggest bullies was myself, in the form of self-criticism and self-doubt. Natalie's inner critic shows up throughout the story to reflect her feelings of not being enough right back to her. Natalie says, Sean's right, I am a dog and a loser. No wonder Lily doesn't want to be friends with me. And the critic says, you're a bigger bully to yourself than any of those people. And poor Treat wonders, what's wrong with being a dog? And Cat, who bullies Treat, says, plenty. Cat and Treat open each chapter and add comic relief throughout the story. I got the inspiration for Natalie's pets from my own pets. Cat is an amalgam of my childhood cat's looks and my current cat's attitude. And Treat is modeled after my dog Toby, who will not respond to his name, but will come running if I yell Treat. Toby also serves as my in-house editor. Cat and Treat open each chapter and add comic relief throughout the story. Treat says, I'd like to thank the Academy for throwing me a bone. And in the next panel, when they said, let's get a cone, I thought they meant something else. My childhood dog, Benji, also makes a cameo on the cover of Dog's Life magazine, where you can discover how to have softer fur, a shinier nose, and more belly rubs in less time. So many scenes and moments came from my real life experiences as a child. Natalie's parrot costume, for instance. Some things you can't make up. And just like Natalie, I got plucked by the kid sitting behind me. But unlike Natalie, I didn't use permanent paint on my face instead of face paint, which didn't come off, only to wake up and find out it was class picture day. Even Natalie's Sea of Participation Awards were inspired from my own collection. Natalie's awards include Everybody Wins, You Were Here, Thanks for Trying, and Congratulations, You're Breathing. Back then, they called them honorable mentions. Another question I often get asked is, what kind of pen do you use? Here are some of the tools I used to draw Nat Enough. I did the roughs and finals in pencil and inked with a fountain pen. Then I painted each page in watercolor. Once everything was scanned into the computer, I used Photoshop for cleanup. I keep a glass of water for dipping my brush and a mug of tea on my desk at all times. And one thing I've learned over the years, it's very important that you don't dip your paintbrush in your tea, and even more important, not to drink your paint water. Here are some of the initial character sketches for Nat Enough. Because I was working by hand in watercolor, I added a key to keep the colors of the characters consistent. When I'm working on a story, I start out by writing an outline. This is a very general roadmap, and I never really know where the story is going to go until I get to the writing and drawing phase. I end up writing that several times before getting into drawing. The dialogue and placement all happens while I'm in this phase here of rough drawings. After doing the rough drawings, I go to ink. And after ink, I go to watercolor. Natalie spends a lot of time trying to figure out where she fits in, only to realize that what she really needs to be is more of who she already is. Like Natalie, I started to focus on what I could do and what I love to do, instead of trying to be like someone else, like writing and drawing. Although Natalie was based on my childhood self, she and the other characters took on a life of their own and ended up being some of my greatest teachers. Natalie and I now share the same mantra: be more of who you are. The sequel to Nat Enough, Forget Me Nat, is coming out this September. This story picks up where Nat Enough left off in the second half of 6th grade. Also drawn from real feelings and experiences from childhood, Forget Me Nat is about crushes and being crushed. And that the most important relationship we have is with ourselves. It's also filled with humor and braces. And has Kat and Treat back for more at the beginning of each chapter and throughout the book. I hope Nat Enough and Forget Me Nat inspire my readers to laugh, be more of who they are, and realize they are more than enough. I drew Nat Enough using a fountain pen on really thick watercolor paper. I only wish I could draw this fast. So I started out with ink, and then I'd get to watercolor. And one of my other most important tools is a paper towel for when I mess up and I can easily pick up some paint. I also used a hairdryer to dry different parts of the drawing so I could work on other parts at different times. I had a whole room full of masonite boards set up all over the place in rotation so I could work on one drawing and then get to the next. Nat has some very important messages. One is to be more of who you are, and the other is don't let anything or anyone dim your sparkle. Writing and drawing is something I've been doing my entire life and absolutely love to do. I hope you enjoy reading Nat Enough as much as I enjoyed drawing and writing it.